Live from our news hub at Adesawe Kanda in Accra. This is NEWSAT10. We're live on TV3 and also on 3FM 92.7. We'll bring you the. Let's first start with the day's news summaries. The Director General of the Ghana Maritime Authority, Kwame Owusu, has questioned TV3's motive in carrying out stories he deems mischievous about him and the institution. He was reacting to a leaked memo on payments made for a luncheon by the authority to his private hotel. And some indigents of Japekrom in Accra are calling for the resignation or immediate removal of the Jamai South Municipal Chief Executive following the recent shooting and killing of 3 persons in the town. They claim his continuous stay in office could influence ongoing investigations into the case. And in Parliament tonight, Majority Leader Oseche Mensah-Bonsu says the legislature cannot be pressurized to pass the Right to Information Bill into law. This was after a group of journalists rallying support to get the bill passed were prevented from entering Parliament House. Meanwhile, Parliament has employed the services of a sign language interpreters to enhance the work of the House. The Executive Director of the National Population Council, Dr. Letitia Adelaide Appiah, says research and policy direction are the effective ways of controlling population in Ghana. According to her, any decision which is not research and policy grounded in controlling population could make it difficult in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. And in sports, the World Football Governing Body, FIFA, has banned former president of the Ghana Football Association, Kwesi Nyantakyi, from all football-related activities for life. He has also been fined 500,000 Swiss francs for various breaches of FIFA's ethics as well as conflict of interest. The statement said Kwesi Nyantakyi had been notified of the ban and that it comes into force immediately. Those are our major news highlights. Remember, you can hear me on 3FM 92.7 and we're streaming live on Facebook and on 3news.com. Let's start with our very first story tonight. The Director General of the Ghana Maritime Authority, Kwame Owusu, has questioned TV3's motive in carrying out stories he deems mischievous about him and the institution. He was reacting to a leaked memo on payments made for a luncheon by the authority to his private hotel. Komla Kluche has the following report.
The Director General of the Ghana Maritime Authority, Kwame Owusu, walked into the news conference after facing the board on Tuesday morning. His mission was simple: tearing down one by one the allegations of unjustified expenditure and conflict of interest.
We will not yield to people who want to extort. I will not yield.
With the compliment of the management team, the Director General was resolute. He is alleged to be holding 2 passports with different dates of birth. So the question was put.
The Minister has instituted some investigation to be conducted by the board. The very board you had indicated that had given approval of your hotel supplying lunch for the stakeholder meetings. Do you trust of a fair investigation?
You are being a leader of championing the mischief. In the first place, you even have gone far to take a picture of my hotel and put it in. So it's no wonder you're questioning. And if you are questioning the integrity of the board, if you are going to question, just as you've been doing, the integrity of the minister, it is not me to tell you whether the board will be fair or not fair. And I don't know whether you think you should have brought timber contractors to do that.
Then a second question was put.
Do you have any relationship with the contractor who is putting up the building that is supposed to house you, the contractor in name of One Appear Global Ventures.
Minister and heads of states, Kennedy and the rest, they have their brothers as this and that. I know of people, and the people are Ghanaians, that have the right to contest a tender. And if it's because of that, they will not be able to contest. I did not give it to anybody. It was run even outside of me. And you're going to stand here, as you have been asking questions, that because somebody happened to know me, they can never do a tender in this organization. Kamala, that is below the belt. Even if my wife was to disclose and tender, and he has the capability to do something, and we shouldn't give it and give it to our enemies, you would have been wrong. I did not make the decision. It was based on numbers. Kamala, please, let us not delve into trivialities. Enough for TV3. You've had enough.
Some supporters of the Director General heckled the reporter moments after the news conference.
I like the bit where Komla Kluche says some supporters of the Director General heckled the reporter. They actually heckled Komla Kluche. Let's get on to the telephone lines. Linda Kwafo is Executive Director of the Ghana Integrity Initiative. She's on the line. Good evening, ma'am, and thank you extremely. The Director General has actually admitted the board's approval of the contract for his private hotel. And this is the same board which is expected to investigate him. How do you describe this?
Thank you very much. I must say that on the face of it, it appears as if the Transport Ministry should have actually authorized another body committee, or the Transport Ministry itself should have conducted the probe into the matter because of the information that the Director General or the head of the entity actually presented during his press conference today. He actually says the board actually approved that which he did. And so in as much as we are talking about the same board, I think it will not be proper for us to ask the same board to prove the matter. But then what, is it the same board, the same persons on the board? Is it the board committee that can be formed and other people invited from outside to be part of the committee to prove the matter? Or we are referring as to the very same board? I'm not sure. But so then if there's the opportunity for other people to join a board committee to prove the matter, that is fine. But that is not the case. But the same people that might have approved the transaction as he's alleging. Then
right, but the minister was clear, actually, that he has asked the board to investigate this, not some members, actually the board. So there are no ambiguities about this, that it is the same board which approved what appears to be a conflict of interest situation. The same board are going to investigate this man who appears to have been emboldened by certain happenings within the government or party, as he puts it.
You realize that the allegation of whatever happened being approved by the board was made by the head of the entity. And so you and I don't know whether you have seen any information or any documentation that actually proves that is the board that approved whatever happened. You know, the board and our companies has the responsibility to supervise the activities of the head of the organization and the management in general. So then if a matter happens and the board
this actually could be his word against everyone else's, and that it's very possible that the board didn't sanction this?
It's possible. Anything is possible, but the board actually is supposed to supervise his work. So then it's also likely that they might have actually approved, depending on the regulations of the company in relation to the duties of the board. So then it's possible. But then if it's not the same board, I think we are fine. But if it's the same board, then there are questions and to be answered by that same board, and so they will not be the appropriate body to investigate the matter.
And now, in answering some of the questions that our reporter put to him, and I'm sure he started speaking off the cuff and mentioning names of people he knows who have been able to give jobs or, you know, contracts to their brothers or relatives. He mentions Kennedy and then mentions the executive. Indirectly, I reckon that is mentioning the president. These are very serious claims to make, especially considering there are laws regulating public office holders. He appears to be totally oblivious of these laws of conflict of interest.
And that's a bit worrying. To be frank, it's not a bit. It's very, very worrying. The way and manner he has presented his understanding of the guide of conflict of interest as far as our constitution and the guidelines provided by SHRAD are concerned. Under Chapter 24 of the 1990 Constitution, specifically Article 284, public officials are being admonished to ensure that their behaviors and their actions in the performance of their public functions does not put them in a position of conflict of interest. Then SHRAD comes out with guidelines to help them manage such situations when they do happen, because obviously they are going to happen. The fact that you know people in other institutions or whatever who might have acted in a way that could be described as acts that constitutes conflict of interest does not mean we should do the same. I'm not saying what he has done constitutes conflict of interest. But then what I find very interesting about the press conference today is that he admitted that the hotels that provided the services to his organization are his. Were there invoices of quotation just from only that institution? Is that what the procurement law tells us to do? Was it doing so often? Does it qualify? Does the provision of
right? So would you push for him to be dismissed, or would you still say he should keep his position? And would the GI, the Ghana Integrity Initiative, be pushing for an independent investigations other than the board or the authority? Right, I think we lost her on the line, Linda Forikwafo. This is News at 10. We're live from the News Hub at Addis Ababa. You can hear me on 3FM 92.7. We're also streaming live on our Facebook page and on 3news.com. We'll take a break, and when we return, we'll continue further on this story. We'll be right back. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Let's continue. The Embattled Director General of the Maritime Authority has also indicated he'll go after controversial musician Kwame A. for deliberately maligning him.
I've been given the necessary instructions, and when I leave you here, they are preparing documents so that we can bring in a charge against Mr. A+, the vigilante. Unfortunately, we also saw in the document sent to you a so-called the statesman, .com, yeah, the NEWSAT10.com, something that, for your information, is not a NPP statesman. It's a statesman.com created by the Pharisees. And therefore, you should not connote to say, oh, it's an NPP paper. This is a paper or a .com owned by the Pharisees. We will attempt to see whether legally they can be incorporated, and maybe.
Let's get a reaction from Kwame A+. He's joining us on Skype now. Good evening, sir, and thank you very much. This is the first time I'm speaking to you. Nice to be speaking to you. Now, the Director General was specific in mentioning you. He calls you the vigilante, Kwame A+, the vigilante. He says that there are legal considerations to bring a charge against you. What do you know about his claim of extortion?
Good evening. I think that is the normal diversionary tactics that politicians in this country play, just to distort the facts. They planned it when they went to discuss those so-called WhatsApp messages in their one of their WhatsApp groups. I heard everything about it. I don't know him. In fact, he said that I watched a video where he was accusing you of being whatever. So I think that he's frustrated. His deeds are catching up with him, and so he's just throwing out wild allegations.
When you say his days are catching up on him, is this to suggest that, in your opinion, pretty soon he should be removed by the president, the appointing authority?
Yeah, that is in the discretion of the president. He decides who to hire and who to fire. Of course, I don't know this man. I have not even mentioned him as, what's his name? Kwame something. Kwame Boache, is that the name? Kwame Apia, eh? Well, yeah, Kwame Owusu. I don't know him as a person. I've never mentioned him in any post. I'm dealing with the issue. And I wonder how Kwame Owusu can go to court and go and sue me for asking what the Ghana Maritime Authority is doing with our money. I will not tell the president what to do or how to handle it. But he has complicated this whole issue with his press conference, and it's amazing how some members of the NPP don't learn. They just don't learn. This is not the first time that something like this is happening. I don't know who advised him to come out and say A+ and some people were trying to extort money from. Nobody will believe.
But did you at any point text him over any disagreement, making demands of him of a sort?
I've never had his number. I have never had his number ever.
So you never sent any anonymous text to him?
I have never had his number on my phone. I have never even dealt with any individual on this issue. I've had this screenshot until I saw it on social media that some people had posted it. I didn't understand the whole issue. I wanted to get the facts. I don't know Kwame Owusu or whoever is involved. I was dealing with the issue as Ghana Maritime Authority. I've never had his number. I've never texted him. I've never called him. And if you check what I posted on Facebook, I was dealing with the issue that the people can eat. How many people ate this? Not that this person is corrupt, he has taken this money or he has taken it here. I was just dealing with the issue. How many people went to a meeting and spent this amount of money? How many people, you understand? And this man is so guilty. So they cooked this whole issue of somebody texting him to say whatever. They planned what to do. And I don't know who advises all these people in the NPP. I don't know who is giving them advice.
He says that he has instructed his lawyers to come after you. We want to know whether you have been contacted and what you plan to do about this.
I'm not planning to do anything. I'm planning to sleep. If it hadn't been for TV3, I would be sleeping by now. I'm planning to have a very good night's sleep. This man, he is not getting anywhere. I'm daring him. If anybody's watching me, you should go and tell him. How many people have been sued me this year alone? How many? The president begged us at the Independence Square to be citizens. If the president does not want us to be citizens, or members of the NPP who have been given power do not want us to be citizens, they should go back to the Independence Square, call all of us and tell us that, look, we asked you to be citizens, but we don't want you to be citizens anymore. Then we sit on the fence and watch. Now we are citizens. If something is, we have the right to ask questions. And there is one thing that these politicians do, to threaten everybody. I'm a different breed. I'm a totally different person. You cannot intimidate me. Our national anthem says that, and help us to resist the oppressors rule, and we will resist it in this country. All of a sudden, MPP came to power, so nobody should talk again.
Right, A+. We're grateful for speaking to you. Very interesting conversation there. Kwame A+ is a popular musician, and he says that he's not afraid of anything the Maritime Authority and its Director General bring up. Now, the Judicatory Chamber of the Independent Ethics Committee of FIFA has banned Mr. Kwesi Nyantakyi, former president of the Ghana Football Association, for life from all football-related activities, be it administrative, sports, or any other, at both international and national levels. The chamber found Mr. Nyantakyi guilty of having violated Article 19, that is the conflict of interest article, Article 21, the bribery and corruption article, and Article 22, the commission of the FIFA Code of Ethics 2012 edition. As a consequence, the FIFA in a statement said that Mr. Nyantakyi has been banned for life from all football-related activities at both national and international levels. And additionally, he has been fined an amount of 500,000 Swiss francs, which is equivalent to about $497,000. This has been imposed on Mr. Nyantakyi. The decision, according to the statement released by the committee, was notified to Mr. Nyantakyi today, and the ban comes into force immediately. And the Accra High Court has decided to have an in-camera hearing of the testimony of one of the witnesses in the National Communications Authority (NCA) case involving the former board chairman Eugene Bafo-Boni and 4 others. This follows an oral application, by the Director of Public Prosecution, Yvonne Atakra Obobisa, who maintained the third prosecution witness's disclosure borders on security. Here is a report by Salom Amenya.
The Director of Public Prosecutions premised their application on Article 19, Clause 15 of the 1992 Constitution, which gives exceptions to some cases bordering on state security, public safety and public morality to be heard in camera. According to Yvonne Atakra Obobisa, the information to be provided by the third prosecution witness, who is also a national security representative, borders on national security, hence the application for the court presided over by Justice Eric Che Bafo to clear the court excusing persons with exception of the accused persons and their lawyers, prosecution lawyers as well as the witness. Counsels for the accused persons objected the oral application on a number of grounds, including the mode of the application, which some were of the view should have been by a formal application. They contended that they have been surprised by the application which they did not have foreknowledge of. However, the court in its ruling maintained the DPP had invoked Article 19, Clause 15 of the Constitution and also considering the overriding matter of state security and granted the application, hence an order clearing the court of all persons apart from the parties in the case.
And that's how we wrap up with News at 10. Thank you extremely for staying with us. On behalf of the crew, good night. There's more news at 3news.com.